Hello, our friends in Australia. Con asked me to introduce myself and Kiernan. We are with Beautiful Teaching, and we do a lot of classical education training for schools, for homeschools. We do online classes and sessions, and we did some sessions for you guys last fall. And for this session, we looked at the survey that we had sent out to you guys last fall, and discovered that it seems that you all would really like some help in learning how to teach classically within the guides of requirements that Australia requires you to cover. And the reason we can do this for you is that Kiernan and I worked for public charter schools in the United States and had to create lessons and curriculum aligned to the standards for the district we were teaching at. And so Kiernan and I can clearly articulate to you by carefully looking at your standards, how to adapt them to still meet the standards, but do it in a way that's classical. My focus will be on kind of the theory of looking at those standards and how to bring in the classical ideas to meet those standards. And I'll be able to articulate really well for you what those would look like. And then Kiernan is going to tell you, she'll tell you a little bit here about what she's going to cover with you and her experience in the classroom.
So when I first started teaching in public charter, I had been teaching for a variety of private schools with a focus on classical pedagogy. And when I made the transition to public, I was definitely concerned about how I was going to negotiate classical curriculum, classical pedagogy, and state standards. And in the course of learning the state standards and also learning how to read those standards in the light of classical curriculum and classical pedagogy, how to look at a standard and say, how can I teach towards this goal using classical pedagogical techniques and reading classical texts? I found not only did it actually help strengthen my teaching as a classical educator, but it also built bridges with co-teachers, teachers who were new to classical education. And I often found it wasn't so much the standard that maybe was the difficulty. It was that many teachers who had gone to a more traditional preparation program had been taught this is the only way to meet that standard. And sort of my time, I now teach in Catholic schools, but my time in public charter schools, when I finished, I finished a Texas state teacher certification. And when the state examiner came in to do my observation and notes, he said, wow, you did a great job of really targeting all of these standards in the lesson. How did you learn this if you didn't go to a traditional program? This is all data aligned. This is all based in the most recent research. And I said, well, this is classical pedagogy. It's the way it's traditionally been done. And so I think standards are really interacting with standards in that way is a great way to open up that conversation to other educators and also to demonstrate that classical education isn't just classical. It works. It's based in the science and because it meets the needs of children's minds.
Right. And one of the things Kiernan and I are kind of different than a lot of classical educators that we've come in contact with is that we actually like the standards because they give accountability. They help everybody to be on the same page with making sure that certain things are covered. And usually those things that need to be covered are all really good.
Yes.
And it's just the way you go about presenting exactly the pedagogy behind it. And so what we're going to do is help you look at those standards and step back and say, oh, how can I create really great questions to meet these standards? And how can I approach this text in a way that will be classical, that will be beautiful and not feel so data driven. It will meet the data, but it won't feel as data driven. It won't feel as objective based in terms of the way you're presenting the lesson. And most schools have some really beautiful text within their curriculum, but we're also going to talk to you about how to find texts that lean themselves more towards classical, but still really do a great job at meeting those standards. And your administration will be happy with what you're doing. So thank you so much for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to share with you what we have learned. And we're feeling pretty confident that it's going to be helpful and that you will walk away with some really practical ideas and some lessons that you can implement, some great lists of questions that you can start using in your classroom to help meet those standards in a beautiful way. And then our next session, I think it's in May, we will be teaching how to do really good Socratic seminars. So this will lay a foundation for that. So we hope that you can attend both. Thanks again. Yes, Kiernan, what were you going to say?
Bring all of your thoughts and questions. So if there are standards you've been struggling with, lessons that you're required to teach, and you're struggling with using a particular piece of your curriculum, bring that with you. We definitely have ample time for Q&A, and we want to grapple with those harder questions with you so that you can go back to the classroom really equipped.
All right. Thank you.